Facebook Marketplace seems like a convenient way to buy and sell items locally, but beneath its user-friendly interface lies a world of potential danger. Today I'm going to share some truly horrifying Facebook Marketplace encounters that will make you think twice before meeting strangers to exchange goods. These aren't urban legends or exaggerated tales, these are real experiences from real people who narrowly escaped potentially life-threatening situations. Before we dive in, it's worth noting that while millions of transactions on Facebook Marketplace happen safely every day, the platform's accessibility makes it particularly vulnerable to exploitation. Unlike dedicated e-commerce sites with robust verification processes, Facebook Marketplace relies on personal profiles that can be easily faked or manipulated. This creates the perfect environment for scammers, thieves, and even violent criminals to target unsuspecting users. Our first story comes from a 27-year-old woman named Amanda from Oregon. Amanda was selling her barely used designer handbag collection after deciding to downsize before moving to a smaller apartment. She had listed several bags at competitive prices and was getting decent interest, but one particular buyer stood out. A profile under the name Jessica Miller messaged about a Gucci bag priced at $1,200. The profile seemed legitimate. It had been active for several years, had normal-looking photos of a woman in her 30s, and even had mutual friends with Amanda. After some negotiation, they settled on $1,100 and arranged to meet at a coffee shop near Amanda's apartment. On the day of the meeting, Jessica messaged that she was running late and asked if they could meet at Amanda's apartment instead since she was in a rush. Amanda initially refused, insisting on the coffee shop. Jessica then claimed she had a child in the car who wasn't feeling well and couldn't be out in public for long. Playing on Amanda's sympathy, she promised to bring her husband along for the exchange to make it safer. Amanda reluctantly agreed, giving Jessica her address. About 30 minutes later, Amanda heard a knock on her door. Looking through the peephole, she saw a woman who matched Jessica's profile pictures. What she didn't expect was the two large men standing slightly out of view on either side of her doorway. Something felt off. Amanda called through the door, saying she had changed her mind about the sale. The woman, presumably Jessica, started pleading, saying she had driven far and had cash ready. When Amanda firmly refused to open the door, Jessica's tone changed dramatically. "We know you have more bags in there," she hissed. "Open the door or we're coming in anyway." Amanda immediately called 911 while the three individuals began attempting to force the door open. They fled before police arrived, but officers later confirmed that Jessica Miller was using a stolen identity. The profile had been carefully cultivated for months to appear legitimate. The real Jessica Miller had no idea her photos were being used this way. Police believed the group had targeted multiple sellers of high-value items and had successfully robbed at least 3 other victims in the area. The next story takes us to Michigan, where 32-year-old Mark was selling exercise equipment during the pandemic when home gym prices were skyrocketing. Mark had posted a complete home gym setup for $2,000, including a power rack, barbell, weights, and bench, all in excellent condition. A buyer named Tom reached out, expressing interest in the full set. His profile showed an average-looking guy in his 40s with a private account. Tom didn't negotiate the price at all, which Mark found somewhat unusual, but attributed to the high demand for home gym equipment at the time. They arranged to meet at Mark's house since the equipment was too heavy to transport elsewhere. Tom said he would bring his truck and a friend to help load everything. Mark's girlfriend was uncomfortable with the arrangement and decided to stay with her parents that evening, but Mark assured her it would be fine. When the day came, a pickup truck pulled into Mark's driveway around 7 p.m. as planned, but instead of 2 men, 4 exited the vehicle. None of them matched the profile picture of Tom. Mark immediately felt uneasy, but had already opened the garage where the equipment was staged. The men barely looked at the gym equipment. Instead, one asked to use the bathroom, while another asked for a glass of water. Mark refused both requests, saying they should focus on loading the equipment if they wanted it. The apparent leader then pulled out a knife and demanded to know if anyone else was home. Mark, who fortunately had his phone in his pocket, had discreetly pressed the emergency SOS function when things started feeling wrong. He backed away, telling them to take the equipment and leave. Instead, 2 men attempted to enter his house while the others corralled Mark toward the garage. Just as the situation was escalating, police sirens became audible in the distance. The men quickly abandoned their plan, jumped into their truck, and sped away without the gym equipment. Police later told Mark that the group was suspected of orchestrating at least a dozen home invasions in the area, using Facebook Marketplace as their primary method of finding targets, particularly focusing on homes where they believed valuable items might be kept. Our third story involves a college student named Zoe who was looking to buy a used laptop for her studies. She found a listing for a MacBook Pro at an unusually low price of $600. The seller, who went by Michael, claimed he needed to sell quickly because he was moving abroad. Zoe, excited about the deal, agreed to meet Michael at a shopping mall. She brought her roommate along as a precaution. When they arrived, Michael texted that he was in the parking garage and would meet them there instead of inside the mall as originally planned. This raised red flags, but Zoe thought that with her roommate present, and in a public parking garage with cameras, they would be safe. They found Michael standing beside a car on one of the lower levels where few other vehicles were parked. Michael showed them the laptop, which appeared to match the listing photos. He was friendly but seemed nervous, repeatedly checking his phone. When Zoe asked to turn on the laptop to verify it worked, he became agitated, insisting it needed charging. He offered to lower the price to $550 if they would take it as is. As Zoe was considering this, her roommate noticed a second man slowly approaching from behind a nearby pillar. Simultaneously, Michael received a text that made him smile slightly. Sensing danger, Zoe's roommate grabbed her arm and said they needed to leave immediately. They quickly walked away despite Michael's increasingly aggressive attempts to complete the sale. As they reached the stairs, they heard footsteps running behind them. They sprinted up to the main level of the mall where there were more people. Later that day, they saw on local news that 2 women had been robbed at gunpoint in that same parking garage just an hour after Zoe's encounter. The description of the perpetrators matched Michael and the second man they had spotted. Police investigation revealed that Michael had created multiple Facebook profiles with different names, each with a handful of stolen photos. He would list high-demand items at attractive prices, lure buyers to isolated locations, and rob them with his accomplice. The laptop in the listing wasn't even real, it was just a prop to make the scam convincing. Perhaps one of the most disturbing stories comes from James, a 35-year-old furniture maker who sold custom pieces through various online platforms, including Facebook Marketplace. James had built a solid reputation locally for his handcrafted tables and chairs. In January last year, he received a message from a woman named Sarah who was interested in a dining set he had listed for $1,800. Her profile seemed legitimate. It was several years old with normal activity and photos. They agreed on a price of $1,700. And since the furniture was too large for Sarah to transport herself, James offered to deliver it to her home for an additional $50. On the delivery day, James arrived at the address, a fairly isolated house at the end of a long driveway, surrounded by trees. He found it odd that there were no other cars visible, but assumed they might be in a garage. He texted Sarah to let her know he had arrived. A woman who matched Sarah's profile photos came out and directed him to bring the furniture around to the back entrance, explaining that the front hallway was too narrow. As James was carrying the first chair to the back of the house, he noticed there were no lights on inside and the place appeared empty through the windows. His suspicions growing, James asked if she had just moved in. The woman seemed momentarily confused before saying yes. When James returned to his truck for more furniture, he noticed a car quickly pulling up to the house. A man got out and hurried inside through the front door. James immediately felt something was very wrong. He called out that he needed payment before unloading anything else. The woman said the money was inside and asked him to come in to get it. Instead, James returned to his truck, locked the doors, and called the police. While waiting for officers to arrive, both the man and woman emerged from the house and approached his truck, becoming increasingly aggressive, claiming he was trying to steal their money. James stayed locked in his vehicle until police arrived. The investigation revealed that the house was actually vacant and listed for sale. The woman wasn't Sarah at all. The Facebook profile had been stolen. The pair had been using this tactic to lure delivery people and service providers to vacant properties.